Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson is an ordained Centers for Spiritual Living minister serving the Center for Spiritual Living Greater Baltimore community as our spiritual director. As a lifelong learner with a passion for self development, personal transformation, transmutation, and transfiguration, he has frequently been referred to as a Renaissance man and visionary New Thought leader who makes complex metaphysical concepts readily understandable and applicable. His mission is to live, move, and be an active member of society who serves to educate, elucidate, and emancipate people and communities to awaken and empower themselves. ACTIVE is an acronym that stands for authentic, compassionate, transparent, inspired, vibrant, and empowered. And he continues to live his bliss as a teacher, minister, author, workshop and seminar facilitator, visual artist, ASL interpreter, and ASL performing artist, mentor, father, grandfather, and more. I give you Reverend Dr. Ray.
Hello, everyone. Namaste, blessings, greetings. So, before we get into this, I feel the need to sort of preface it with it can feel a little challenging to talk about happiness in a world where another mass shooting occurs, like the one recently in Buffalo. It is very challenging to be anchored and grounded in happiness when there is so much sorrow, animosity, and hate. And yet, it is vital that we still be anchored and grounded in happiness because that is the energy of our own self-care that gives us the capacity to then go out in the world, shift paradigms, elevate consciousness, and create a world that works for all. Follow where I'm going. So we are able to be in a space of both and. I feel, as Heather said, this infinite number and gratitude for the blessings in my life, the chair, the clothing, and so much more. And it is from this overflow that I then go out and serve in the world. So if you're happy and you know it, be of service. Happiness stems from a state of mind and an attitude. Dare I say, an attitude of gratitude. Thank you, Heather. We can choose to shift our attitude or altitude by focusing on something that brings us joy, whether it's from a memory or doing something in the present moment that is anchored to that blissfulness that Robert played, that energy of what is pleasing to us. Focusing on gratitude and our infinite blessings. It is a great method of dissolving and eliminating and shifting the consciousness around all of this other stuff that prohibits, blocks, and deters us from being of service, being happy. Breathe. So, happiness. It's got to be out there somewhere. Where is it? How do I find it? Have you ever been one of those people who you look for it and can't find it? Where, like, we talk about happiness. Where is it? Where, oh, where is happiness at? Oh, where could it be? Tracy's, she's kneeling right here beside me, and she's giving me the face. Ernest Holmes says, We should rediscover the youthful spirit of that childlike joy which gave to us the energy, happiness, security, and faith that we had as children. Rediscover that youthfulness, that ability that we had to simply play and be present in all of life. Remember when something as simple as a bubble was like magic to us? They're like bubbles. And we chased them and popped them and blew them, and the simple joy of that. It is time for us to reinvigorate, renew, recapture that, rather than continuing to chase our happiness. Because keep in mind, we were taught that happiness must be pursued, it must be chased, it must be hoarded. It is elusive and ever fleeting. I mean, think about where have we heard? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Are we ready to change that consciousness so that we no longer need to pursue it, because we recognize that this energy of infinite happiness already is breathing itself as us? Dennis Waitley says, happiness cannot be traveled to, owned, earned, worn, or consumed. Happiness is the spiritual experience of living every minute with love, grace, and gratitude. Happiness is the spiritual experience of living every moment, this now moment, with the energy of love, of grace, and of gratitude. Are you ready to be steeped in that? Are you ready to anchor into that? Are you ready to embody that very energy of love, grace, and gratitude every minute of your life, every breath, every thought? Are you ready and willing to do so? Because to do that means giving up the idea, relinquishing the idea, surrendering the idea that happiness, I must find the key to happiness. Oh, happiness, wherefore art thou, happiness? I have sought for thou, and thou hast eluded me. You have to give up that entire paradigm and recognize that happiness is where God is. Where is God? Everywhere. That means right where you are, God is. That means right where you are, the consciousness of happiness must also be. So happiness is not something to go get. Happiness, there is no way to, there is no road to, there is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. It is the way. Happiness is life itself. When we are ready, willing, and able to live from that consciousness, when we are ready to embody it, to exude it, to be anchored in it, of it, and as it. Breathe. Because this can be challenging, because what I'm asking you to do is relinquish a lot of our old paradigms that we have had about happiness. How many of us have heard, you'll be happy when you're 18, when you're an adult. You'll be happy when you graduate from high school or college. You'll be happy when you get your degree. Happy when you're married. Happy when your house, spouse, picket fence, children, dog, cat. Happy when you retire. Happy when you, but why not happy now? Why not be a happy 15-year-old? Why not be a happy 20-year-old? Why not be a happy whatever age, whatever marital relationship status? Why not be happy now? If it's the truth of our being. if it's the energy of our cells right now, you don't wait until you graduate to breathe. You don't wait until you retire to live. You're alive now. So be happy now. The Dalai Lama says, happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions. Now, ready-made, my understanding of what he is meaning by this is it's not some construct that has to be. It comes from our own choices, our own consciousness, our own way of showing up in the world. We are the makers of miracles. We are the Imagineers who craft and create this scent of happiness. Heather said, there are infinite blessings, infinite blessings. She even named the chair upon which you sit, or the bed that you're chilling on right now while you're watching service or listening to service. That is a blessing. But are you willing to recognize it as a blessing? Because it's your action of recognizing it. It is your consciousness of recognizing that blessing that cracks open this idea of, wait a minute, if I am blessed in this way, that way, and that way, and I am blessed in that way, this way, and that, then of course I have reason to be happy right now, even while feeling whatever it is, even while experiencing other things. Happiness is possible as well. Breathe. So it is by our own actions we get to go out in the world and graffiti it up. We get to be the very contagion of happiness so that when we walk into a room, people are automatically happy when they see us because we give off the energy of joy, of gratitude. They feel the vibration of our presence because we are anchored and grounded and steeped in it, if we choose to be. Ernest Holmes says, the ability to control your experiences and have them result in happiness, prosperity, and success lies in your own mind and the way in which you use it. Say what now? In my mind and how I use my mind? Yes. You have the ability to choose that. There is only one mind, and that mind is God, and the mind that you use is the mind of God, is God's mind, is God. Therefore, you, by your own control, your mental equivalent determines the altitude and the attitude by which your life moves. But the question is, well, what's my mental equivalent? And what is my training method? What am I doing to strengthen, to reinforce, to earn my black belt per se, to earn my black belt in my mental equivalent, right? What am I called to do? What is my current training practice? And we know there are certain things like meditation. Yes, that's an easy one. Meditation, contemplation, prayer, journaling, gratitude journals, ho'oponopono. Like we know there are various things in the spiritual realm, spiritual practices. But can I wash the dishes as part of my training to strengthen my mental equivalent to be anchored, aligned with principle so that I experience greater levels of happiness? Can I cut the grass as training of my mental equivalent? Can I sit in the chair and be grateful for the chair as a blessing as part of my training? Can I simply eat a meal? And the eating of it is training my mind, training my mental equivalent. Is that possible? Yes. if we are willing to be less full in our mind, less mindful. There's so much to do, so much to think, so much to checklist to oh my goodness, when am I gonna? I don't have an oh, blah, 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 and then breathe and simply be mindful, be present to what you are doing. And I know that there are moments when we are easy. Hold on a second. What? Huh? No, I'm in service right. There are moments when we are distracted. You know, we're watching television and the phone, and then instead of the TV. There are times when we're, doing something online and boop, there's a Facebook message and we stop what we're doing to, address that. I understand that. But is that the norm? Is that our default squirrel? Is our default setting to be easily distracted by the busyness of life? Or are we able to more often, more frequently, more consistently align and ground ourselves to be more mindful, more present to what we are doing, what we are being, who we are being? Breathe. Eckhart Tolle says, as soon as you honor the present moment, all unhappiness and struggle dissolve, and life begins to flow with joy and ease. Yes, I understand where he's going. However, let's dissect this just a smidge. As soon as you honor, okay, as soon as you respect, value, and act in accordance with the present moment, when you respect the now, value the now, and move and have your beingness from the now, all unhappiness and struggle dissolves. It can be addressed more effectively and then healed. And then life flows with joy, ease, and grace. So we have to honor and address everything. Everything. Whatever it is we are feeling in this moment, address it so that it can be healed. Value and respect so that it can be healed. And then be in the flow of life. It's work. No, I shouldn't say work. It takes a certain level of concerted energy to practice the practice. Thich Nhat Hanh says, if we are not in contact with pain, we cannot know what real happiness is. And once again, I understand what he's saying. And there are, as it says in the Bible, there are seasons. There is a time to laugh and a time to cry, a time to rejoice and a time to mourn. Yes, I understand that. And there are some who say that this idea of pain is necessary. And I understand what they're saying. And yet, the pain of our traumas can be addressed. It can be healed. It can be alleviated. It may not leave. Whatever it is we are experiencing, the grief that I have for both of my parents dying, that grief in some way will be with me for the remainder of my life. And yet, the grief that I feel right now is not the same grief I felt the day that I heard that they died. So, we are invited to be present to all of it. Be present to all of the seasons of life. Don't look through the filter of, but be present. Recognize whatever it is we are feeling. Honor it. Address it so that it may be healed. Not denied, not bypassed, but addressed with respect. Ernest Holmes says, we are not so foolish as to think that people do not suffer, that they do not experience want, that they are not unhappy. But the potential I and the potential you is just as perfect as the inherent allness that is God. And what does our Declaration of Principle, the fifth one, say? We believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete emancipation, liberation, freedom from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. So we address there are those who experience suffering, who experience lack, who experience pain. We recognize that. And then we bring whatever it is, prayer, service, soup, whatever it is, we bring the fullness of God to their experience, to our experience, so that we shift consciousness, heal one another, craft and manifest a world that works for all. One thought at a time, one life affirming action at a time, one at a time. And it starts right here, right now. Be present with what you feel, what you think, what's going on in your life, your mental equivalent. Because the whole point is to discipline, to train our mind, our mental equivalent, so that we recognize the truth of who and what we are. Because if we don't, then our mind is operating based upon a paradigm that was given to us, the paradigm of lack, scarcity, war, hatred, etc. And what we are invited to do is shift that consciousness to be in the world, but not of the consciousness of that. To elevate that consciousness so that the new consciousness of a world that works for all is the dominant consciousness. And we do that by practicing mental equivalent, aligning with principle, love, and law. Do the work. The Buddha says, to enjoy health, bring happiness and peace, one must discipline one's mind. Find the way to enlightenment and wisdom, because what you think, you become. What are you thinking? If what you think, if your mental equivalent makes you who you are, then does it not benefit us to look at how well we are stewarding that mental equivalent? How well are we stewarding happiness and gratitude? How well are we stewarding the energy of bliss? Because what you think, what your mental equivalent is, your thoughts, your words, no matter how those words are communicated, verbally, in sign language, written in text, or a meme on Facebook, it's communication. Your emotions and your feelings, and then the actions of what you do in the world. Your mental equivalent makes you who you are and what you are becoming. So you want to be an awakened Christ, then get your mental equivalent to be in alignment with that principle. You want to be someone who is grateful and joyful, more, then get your mental equivalent in alignment with that principle. You want to be open at the top and aligned with your spiritual magnificence, then get your mental equivalent in alignment with that principle. Because what you think, you are. What you think, you become. Breathe. Got a question for my science geeks, my science nerds. Anybody know what these are? And feel free to type it in the chat. Do you know what any of these are? Any of these chemical compounds? I give you one. I give you two. I give you three. Type it in. Because what they are, these things affect our moods. Neurotransmitters. Dun, 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 dun. Neurotransmitters. Because see, when we shift our mental equivalent, when that is, whatever it is, it causes the chemical reaction in our body to release these four neurotransmitters. See, this is how we know that our mental equivalent affects our physicality. The way in which we think and feel and move in our world literally affects the chemical compounds in our bodies. Endorphins are the body's natural pain relievers. You want that in your system? Then get in the mental equivalent of exercise and laughter, dance. What about the cuddling hormone? Tracy loves that one. Oxytocin. Well, how do you? By having compassion and trust, by hugging and having physical contact and bonding. What else? Well, there's serotonin, the happiness chemical. You want more of that in your system? Then get more sunshine, get out in the world, walk in nature. Get more foods in your system that have tryptophan. And then you have serotonin in your body. Okay, well, what about the feel-good hormone, dopamine? Manifesting, concentration, having a goal and meeting that goal, breaking that goal. Foods that are rich in tyrosine. Yeah, look some of these things up. But nonetheless, the idea is if you want these neurotransmitters in your body, you want to have the happiness chemical. You want the feel-good hormones. You want this stuff in your body. Then your mental equivalent must be in alignment with them. You can't, otherwise, then you're focusing on, the whole idea of, well, what does the world say? Rather than let us anchor and ground and declare, it is done unto me as I choose to believe. In other words, my mental equivalent, in accordance with the law, influences, impacts, and creates the life I desire and deserve to experience individually and collectively. I am that I am. We get to choose. Brene Brown says, in addition to creating happiness in our lives, cultivate the spiritual practices that lead to joyfulness, especially gratitude. We need to live from a place of gratitude and joy and expectancy. It's my addition. Expect good. Expect to be happy. Expect to live the life that you desire and deserve. Expect it. And then watch how your life unfolds, how it manifests. Breathe. This week's invitation to practice. What or who makes you feel happy? And what is it about them or it that inspires this feeling of happiness? Is there someone or something? Because see, I know that if I say this name, I know that Renuka is going to smile because this particular individual brings her happiness. Doesn't Buddy make you happy, Renuka? See, exactly. Because that is someone that brings her joy. Tracy's standing right there. And when I say, Tracy, do I bring you joy? She's shaking her head, but she's smiling because she's lying. Think about who or what it is that brings you this feeling of happiness and identify what is it about them. And then ask, what are you committed to doing to increase your individual and collective happiness? Because see, if you're not committed to it, how does it happen? If you're not committed to the relationship you have with happiness, then you're going to cheat on happiness. If you're not committed to a relationship with your bliss and your joy and your gratitude, then you're going to cheat on them. So what are you committed to doing to increase your individual and collective happiness. And then lastly, have a conversation with 6 people about what were you taught about happiness? What causes someone to be happy? What do you currently believe about happiness? Can you be happy even while feeling sadness or stress or grief? Discuss that. And also in your conversation, discuss the activities that you currently engage in and those that you don't, but that you could. Those that cause those neurotransmitters we talked about to be released into your body. Breathe. And as always, if you want copies of the slides, just reach out to Tracy or I, and we will make sure you get them. This week's affirmation declaration. I will say it first, and then if you feel in alignment, say it with me on our second go round. I am happy to be alive, living a joyfully diverse life. Together. I am happy to be alive, living a joyfully diverse life. And we breathe. We breathe and allow this energy of being alive to permeate our system, to marinate in our mind and our hearts,